Hi, we're back again, and as we were trying to talk, it's week 6. Sophia told me, so we're on going to try and do today on one piece of paper, or you can use multiple pieces of paper. It's okay. It's up to you. We're going to create mushrooms today with some insects, thanks to Mary, who gave us a suggestion for mushrooms, and to Mr. J and Mr. E, who gave us a suggestion for insects. So we're going to try and build a little micro garden out of mushrooms and insects. So grab your pencils, your erasers, your papers, whatever you're using to create your art with. Miss Sophia Rainbows is ready. You can say hi again too. I don't think they heard you the last time. Yeah. And we'll switch over to see some of your artwork from last week. Get the audio back on this too. For some reason, all of my audio settings are messed up a little bit, so bear with us. So last week we did horse shapes, and we did the basic shape of a horse so that you guys could do whatever creature, horse-like creature you wanted to do. Like the zebra, which is Sophia Rainbows.
Zebra. This is
Zebra. This is Zebra. Sophia Rainbows' zebra. She tried to do all 4 types of horse creatures we could do. This is my zebra unicorn that I did during our session. We have this beautiful unicorn, Rylea, who is a mom, adult, participating with us. It's awesome. I love all the colors and the rainbows and like even the 3D elements of the legs overlapping. That's so cool. And we have Cassidy, who is Leah's daughter, who did this beautiful rainbow mane and tail. You guys can correct me on that too if I've got things mixed up. Thank you, Cassidy. We have Neki, which is Sophia's giraffe. We took that horse shape and stretched the neck longer and stretched the legs longer to give it that look of a giraffe. We've got Horsey, which is Sophia's horse. And then her final creation, which is a giraffe unicorn.
Horny.
Hi, Leah. Hi, Cassidy.
Hi.
And this is Horny, her giraffe unicorn. So today, that's okay. You still have time to send it in, Sarah. You're getting a hi from Grandma and Grandpa. Grandma and Grandpa are watching.
Yay.
Yay. Hi, Grandma and Grandpa. Don't worry, you've got time to send it in, and I can add it into the album. Don't worry. The mailbox is always open. So today we're going to try and do something that's a little bit like this. It is a mushroom garden with a bunch of insects in it. And I'm going to teach you guys some of the basic steps on drawing insects in a cartoon version, which can be applied to drawing them even more realistically if you want to. And some different fungi. We're going to be fun guys today. Oh, I'm sorry. Different mushroom shapes or toadstool shapes. And that's what we're going to start with today, is those shapes. And then we're going to put the insects in. So if you guys have any particular insects that, like ants or ladybugs or bees.
I don't have mushroom on my paper.
Oh, seriously. She's related to me. Yeah, we accept all bad puns. So today we're going to start with mushroom shapes. And mushrooms are amazing. Fungi are amazing because there are so many different varieties. Sophia's got a fact about that, actually.
Yeah, there are at least 1.5 million different species of fungi in the world.
That's a lot of fungi. Which means, actually, oh, and you know what? We don't have you split screen. Where's your screen? Where did Sophia Rainbows go, people? I'm just going to show you my screen. I'm not going to share today. Just kidding. Okay, we're going to try that so we don't get any doubling, because for whatever reason, it wasn't working very well today. So if everybody can hear us, hi, I've got my hair down. Sophia can see her garden there. We're going to start with mushroom shapes. So the cool thing about mushrooms is with, how many did you say again? 1.5 million different species. There's a lot of different ways you can draw mushrooms. The one that you're probably most familiar with from fairy tales or fantasy drawings is probably, and you know what, I can't even remember its name. I was going to write that down for you to say it, because I'm not going to be able to say it. Is little red mushroom with white spots. I think it's an Amencia. Anyway, we
Amencia?
often see in Super Mario Brothers and fantasy pictures this idea of a red mushroom. So mushrooms are pretty easy to draw. I like to start with the base, because then I know where my mushroom is going to be on the page, and that can be, oh actually no, that's not what I want to start with. I want to start with a circle, because circles are some of the easiest shapes that we can do. So I'm going to say my mushroom's going to be right about here. And I'm going to start with an oval, not really a circle. It's just sort of flat, long oval. So that's going to be my angle of my mushroom. You can copy my picture if you'd like, or you can change your angle of your mushroom any which way you want.
I'm gonna make my garden look actually tiny, because then I'm gonna put a person standing in it.
Oh, that would be a cool idea. I can't wait to see that. So
What is the difference between a mushroom and a toadstool? Good question.
What is the difference between a mushroom and a toadstool? Very good question. Toadstools are typically either a fungus that is a flatter based shape. We also interchange them often, but from what we did our research on, what is it, Cool Kid Facts? They're the type of fungus that is a little bit of a flatter top, which makes it more like something you could sit on as far as appearances are concerned. But we often refer to toadstools as the one kind of like what we're drawing now. Next I draw 2 straight lines approximately in the middle of that circle, which is going to be the stem of your mushroom. I close it off a bit. And you can make the base any which way you want. I like to give the base of my mushroom a round base, because they tend to get a little bit thicker on the bottom floor of the garden. And I erase where that overlaps. My eraser is very small. I was working on a project today where I needed to be super detailed on my erasing. So you should have something like that for your mushroom. Now this is a chance for you guys to make a decision. You can make your mushroom very, very tall, or you could make your mushroom very, very small, or you could make it more like a toadstool shape, which is a little flatter on the top. I like to have a puffy shape. So I take my line right from the stem, follow my circle, and then make a kind of shape like that. Which, because my words are escaping me, is actually a semicircle. So an arc that follows a little bit of that oval that you started with, and then create a semicircle for the puffy top of the mushroom. If you want to do something a little different, you could maybe make your mushroom shape a little bit like that. That would be more like a toadstool top. Or you could do something really crazy.
I'm doing a special one where it kind of looks a bit like a kind of curved toadstool.
Ooh, can you show us? Sophia's doing this shape. That's her shape, a curved toadstool. You could even go long, tall mushroom if you want to. I'm just sticking with regular mushroom because, you know, this I can handle.
I might actually make a tall one.
I make a tall one. You make them anyway. Like you might find certain mushroom called an ink cap matron in your garden. Those are most common in North America on lawns, and they're tall white mushrooms that look like they're starting to dissolve from the bottom. blacken from the bottom. And if I think about it later, I can show you a picture I drew from my imagination of what those might look like as fairy folk.
Mm.
So what you can do with your mushroom is add some gills to your mushroom, because on the underside of your mushroom, if you've ever picked up a mushroom, even when maybe you're not supposed to, you'll notice on the underside of the mushroom, on the cap, there's gills.
I have a little tip that I learned at school.
Yeah?
I forget what it was, but there's a certain difference between poisonous mushrooms and good mushrooms.
Oh, what's your tip? Not necessarily scientific fact here, but this is something that you learned in school?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you see, I forget what it was, but if you see something different on the bottom of a mushroom from one that's not poisonous, it's definitely poisonous. That's how I can tell between them, because there's mushrooms in the forest behind our school.
Generally speaking, you shouldn't just pick up a mushroom and eat it unless you absolutely know that you can't.
No.
And this is actually a very good suggestion for today. Thank you, E and J, for the insect suggestion, and Mary for the mushroom suggestion, because it is Earth Day. So happy Earth Day, everybody.
It's Earth Day?
Yeah, it's Earth Day.
Wow.
Oh, Sophia's a little shocked because it's one of her favorite days to sort of celebrate. She loves looking after the earth. So once you have your mushroom, you can decorate it with polka dots like I just did, which is just a bunch of little circles. And you can tape and shape them larger or smaller, completely as you want. Some mushrooms have sort of wavy lines like that all the way down. You can do that on your mushroom.
Mine kind of looks like some liquid, like purple liquids falling over the top of a black mushroom.
Cool. I like this. She's using my chameleon pen today. I let her do markers so you guys can see a closer, up close detail of what she's doing today. So once you have your mushroom, you can do more mushrooms. You can do as many mushrooms as you want. I'm going to do little puffball mushrooms, which are just basically circles. I'm doing half circles and building them on top of each other, like so. Those are little puffball mushrooms in my garden. And maybe, like in my practice one, maybe I'll do these kind of spore-like dandelion ones. There's the long cap one that I was talking about, with the ink cap. That's not the one I was talking about making it into a fairy yet, though, but we'll get there.
I'm kind of doing a bit like that base thing, but instead of the dissolving, it's actually different colors.
Oh, cool. So I'm drawing my stem first for those little round puffball ones, and then a circle on the top. Oops, that's not a very good circle, friends. There, just a little circle. And then it has little dots around it. So that's another type of mushroom. There's also really cool mushrooms that that hang on the side of logs.
Yeah, there's lots of those in my forest.
In the back here, maybe just a fallen log. Because mushrooms eat decaying things, so they help clean up the floor of the forest, and they help to encourage new growth and new life. So you'd have something that's like a clamshell hanging out of a forest, and they usually grow in groups like that. So they're just little semicircles, and they are like steps almost. So I like using them in my imagination.
I didn't know that either.
Sophia's just reading the comments, and Grandpa Dave, that's her grandfather, who's awesome and very knowledgeable, has told us, did we know that it was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day? So if you're not looking at the comments and you didn't see that, it is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. That's pretty cool. Thank you for sharing that with us. So no, I like to take these little guys, these little mushroom-like steps almost, and I make them steps in my imagination to a great fairy castle. So I like to put them on tree trunks and stuff for fairy castles. So once you have enough mushrooms or shapes for mushrooms in your mushroom garden, now we're going to look at insects. So I'm going to start with...
I'm still coloring.
You're still coloring. Well, I'm going to do my coloring after.
Read it in the comments.
Sophia likes to read over my shoulder. Mushroom dance, mushroom dance. It's true. She's going to keep drawing and coloring. Um, we are drying mushrooms, so here we go. So once you have enough mushrooms, you can color if you would like. That's up to you. If you want to add some insects into here, and you have a particular insect that you would like to see how to draw, let me know in the comments. I'm going to start with a little ant. And ants start out, all insects actually, and if you have any facts you want to jump in with, she's so intent on her drawing.
I have some mushroom ones that.
How about you give us some mushroom ones, and then I'll start with an ant. And that'll give some people time to catch up and put their comments of what insects they'd like to see too.
Some fungi species can live dormant for decades, 10, 20, 30 plus years. A decade is 10 years.
A decade is 10 years. So mushrooms can live that long? Can we get some trivia? We don't actually have any trivia on for today. Maybe we can change some of our things in here. I have an idea. Why don't we change some of our insect facts into a question? You've got the answer right there. Would you like me to turn it into a question?
Sure.
How many different species are there of insects? We heard there's 1.5 million species of fungi. How many species are there of insects? More or less than the species of fungi? And so your benchmark is 1.5 million is the species of mushrooms. And while you're thinking of that, I'm going to draw the first part of my ant, which is, can be a little teardrop, which is the head. I like to make it a little more like a heart, tiny little heart shape. So we'll give you, it can be A. Oh, see, I think Sarah and Michael are onto something here. They say more. I think J and E are also onto something. They say more. I'm going to give you the next step of that question then. If you think it's more, do you think it's 2 times more, so 3 million, 3 times more, 4.5 million, or 5 times more? Yeah, it is definitely more, Laura. Definitely more. You guys are all on the right track. So is it 1, or is it 2, 3, or 5 times more? Once you have your head here, you draw the middle part of the ant, which is just a little circle. And this is called the thorax of the ant. So the body part. This is where all the legs come out of your ant. And then you draw more like an oval for its abdomen, its back part. So all insects have these 3 parts to them: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. And they're in different shapes and sizes. So we've got a couple answers coming in. 5 times more, 3 times more, 5 times more. Would you like to give the fact, Miss Sophia Rainbows?
The answer is
definitely 5 times more.
yes.
Definitely 5 times more. Actually, even more
There are between 6 million species and 10 million species of insects in a variety of shapes, sizes, and color.
You learned about insects in school. That's pretty cool. Sophia, I don't know, do you guys learned a little bit too? Because I think her librarian's husband is a bug scientist, right? Is a insect scientist.
Yeah.
He studies insects, and he brought a whole collection for them to see. So yes, it is more than 5 times. 5 times is the correct answer. It is like almost 10 million, and more species are being discovered every day. So they're kind of cool, as long as you have the basic things of a bug. There's 4 things in a bug. I should stop calling them bugs, because bugs and insects are not the same. Bugs are a term that we use to describe insects that bite us, or like mosquitoes, or sting us like wasps. So insects and bugs are not one and the same. I should stop saying that. Insects have a couple of characteristics that are all the same across them, and we'll see that as we draw some more. They have 3 parts: head, thorax or body, and abdomen. They have 6 legs: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just drew upside down check marks or triangles to make my legs for my ant. And sometimes if I want to get them really creepy, I'll put little feet on them too. Sometimes not. I think I'm going to take the little feet off this guy. I like them just like that. They all have antennae, which I can't really see on this guy, but there's antennae. And there you go. So those are 1, 2, 3. Did I say 4 things? What am I missing about insects? Some insects have wings, absolutely. So we're going to do one that have wings because that's kind of cool. But yes, for my ants, you can add another little eyeball any way you want to do it. I'm just going to give them a white circle. I'm going to color them in because ants are red or black.
When they're red, though, they're not always completely red. I just find they have a reddish tinge. Some ants, I find, like their head and their back are black, and their thorax is red.
Fire ants, yes, like a bee. A bee would have them. I'm feeling badly about having colored in my ant, and now you can't see some of the details, but it's okay. I tried to make the legs white so you could still see them. So all of the legs would come out of the middle part called the thorax. So what I like to do when I'm drawing cartoon bees, because we'll do a bee here, is I kind of ignore the rule about the fact that there are 3 parts of a bee, because the second part, its abdomen, is so fuzzy, especially if you're doing a bumblebee, that I will sometimes reduce it to 2 parts. So you can still get the idea that it is an insect and it's a bee, but sometimes the fuzz of the bee sort of overlaps the thorax. So what I do for my bees is I draw a little oval, and sometimes, because just to give me space, I draw the teeniest, tiniest thorax, so it's just a little tiny oval. And then I draw really big oval for its butt, because I love bumblebees and abdomen, sorry. It's his bum. I like to make mine really big and fluffy. And another tip I'll give you with that big and fluffy, if you want, you can also do your big and fluffy with edge of your bee, with little short strokes around the edge of what you've done so that you can make it look fuzzy. Which I don't think I did in my example picture, but with this bee, I'm going to make him a goofy bee. So I'm going to give him super big eyes, which a real bee wouldn't have quite this big. They would have big eyes because they have eyes to see in almost every single direction. And they have multifaceted eyes, right? Which means they have many different eye segments on their eye. We didn't look up how many that was, did we? So I'm going to put his antennae. I'm going to color in his nose. And I like to have goofy bees. Now, just like the legs on any other insect which come off of the thorax, the wings also come off of there as well. So you have to try and squeeze a big circle in like that. So I do sort of a teardrop, but I don't completely close it off. And then I do another one overlapping, because especially with the bee wing, they're see-through. So you can sort of see where the 2 wings overlap. And they can flap. So this is kind of a messy bee, but I'm okay with that. He's cute. He's a goofy bee. He's a goofy bee. One of my other favorites, I don't know if we have a couple requests for wings here. One of my personal favorite insects, well, besides the praying mantis, which would be really hard to try and draw right now, but I could do it, is dragonflies. I love dragonflies. Do you have any other facts about insects before I go on about dragonflies?
Most, over 50% of species are pollinators. That means they help plants to grow.
So that's cool. I mean, sometimes we don't like creepy crawlies and insects and bugs and whatnot, but they actually do help the environment. So that's important, especially when we're celebrating Earth Day. So dragonflies. Again, we're going to follow the same rule as we did for the other insects. We're going to give him big head, big round head. If you like a little bit of a pointier nose, you can make it more like teardrop, which is what I'm trying to add, a nice rounder teardrop. And they have...
I'm going to try and draw a butterfly.
You're going to try and draw a butterfly. They also, don't forget, they also have the same rules too. They have a head, a little middle thorax part, and then they have a very long abdomen, which is kind of a little bit like this dragonfly here. So I'm going to do his thorax, which is where all of his lovely legs and his wings are going to come out. And dragonflies have cool eyeballs sort of on either side of their head. So I'm going to give this guy eyeballs on either side of his head. He's checking out this bee. He's probably going to buzz right past this bee because dragonflies are very, very fast. And I'm going to give this guy a sideways long oval for one wing. It's like an airplane wing almost, but not as pointy on either side. Dragonflies have really cool wings. If you were to look really close up to a dragonfly wing, you'll see veins and lines all throughout the dragonfly's wings. Sort of the same for a bee. The wings of a butterfly all have little tiny feather-like shingles almost on that build up their wing, which makes, if you touch them, they kind of put them out of alignment, which is why it's never good to just pick up a butterfly and hold it in your hand.
Yeah.
Because you can actually damage them.
Yeah.
But if you're in a butterfly sanctuary or if you're going to visit them, like we have a place here at Carleton University we like to go to in September. You can hold the butterflies by holding it in your hand and putting fruit, and they'll land on you. And that's a good way to interact with butterflies, is letting them land on you and not sort of grab them, because that can hurt them.
Yeah.
So a dragonfly has a long stick of a butt, of an abdomen. I keep calling it a butt because I like to say that. Sorry.
There's my butterfly.
My water today.
I'm gonna make a bunch of different.
I'm gonna put a little smile on this. This is the great part about cartooning is you're gonna make. What are you gonna put on your story, Sophie? You're telling me.
I'm gonna put a ladybug.
You're gonna put a ladybug. Okay. So a butterfly. I'm gonna do that on a separate layer just because I'm starting to run out of space. Back.
Did you know ladybugs can actually fly?
Yes, I do know ladybugs can actually fly. Oops. I'm gonna put these guys on here on a different layer so I can just sort of make them disappear and put different flying insects into my page of butterfly. Butterflies are really, really neat too, because I'll show you.
I also love when
My favorite part
dragonflies come out at the cottage.
Yeah, Sophia also likes when the dragonflies come out at the cottage.
I remember I was sitting on the dock and then one landed by my foot and I'm like, what the?
Kind of freaked you out a little bit too. And what's really cool, did you know that dragonflies only live to be 2 months old or thereabouts? Same with butterflies. They don't live to be very long. That is their final stage in their lifespan. Dragonflies live to be 2 or 3 years in the water as nymphs. So a butterfly. This one's for you, Leah. Start out with the same shape for a head. You can make it as elegant or as goofy as you'd like. I'm kind of going to go for my usual. My quick doodles usually are more goofy than when I'm actually trying to draw my fairies and my other such stuff. So
I'm gonna draw kind of like because there's a fairy castle in the rock with there's gonna be houses on my first log. As you can see, and on this big log is the door to the fairy castle.
Oh, that's cool. Sophia's taking her garden to a whole other level. So butterflies kind of have, actually I might have done this body just a little too. So it's sort of similar shape to the dragonfly. We want the head to overlap. There we go. Why this guy has got a thing like that. You imagine it's like a caterpillar in between them, but that has lost all of its leaf eating, because it takes all of its energy from its body and puts it into growing these beautiful wings, beautiful colorful wings. So I like to draw curly Q antennas for my butterfly.
My butterfly kind of has its antennas sticking out.
Oh, like that? Yep. Now, the difference between butterflies and papillons de nuit moths, besides what time of day they come out, is that butterflies have long antennae that don't often have fur, or like what looks like hair or fur on them, and moths do. So that's a good way to tell if you're looking at a moth or a butterfly.
Butterflies are a lot more color varied. Like some butterflies are blue, green, yellow, red, orange, purple. You will never find a moth that is red.
You'll never find a moth that
Moths
is red.
are always dark nighttime colors.
What about the giant atlas moth?
That, like most moths, I'm trying to say most moths are not, like they're always night colors.
So if you want to draw a butterfly wing, I would recommend doing a very rounded triangle, right angle triangle. So if you look at this, you can sort of see the right angle triangle to it. And you can do it like that to make it a 3D image. And they usually have a second part of their wing. Sometimes they don't, but I use that as a semicircle connecting to the bottom of it. Just like that. And with butterflies, you can start adding some really cool patterns. If you want to make this a swallowtail, tiger striped swallowtail, I'm going to get that all wrong. It's one of my favorite butterflies. You can add.
I like the ones that kind of look like owls.
The tail.
Kind of look like I like the ones that kind of look like the owls.
I will say that I am a huge fan of, no surprise, the lunar moth, because they're cool. The Madagascarian sunset moth is also kind of an interesting one too. So you can sort of add details, like you can add, usually they have like spots on their wings that look like eyes. Some of them do, some of them don't. Monarchs don't. Monarchs have a different pattern. And this is all about something we talked about with other animals that we've created, camouflage. So you can do sort of lines and stripes, and this is where you can get creative. You can take from your imagination what you want to see on the back of your butterfly or moth or wings of these creatures. Even create your own creatures. And
Mine's a butterfly
or you can observe. You can sort of observe.
Mine's a kind of Christmas colored butterfly.
And what I like to do is, when I've observed butterflies or insects in the wild, I like to take some of those pieces and put them into my imagination soup. I take all kinds of collections of things that I see in nature, and then I mash them together and create new creatures like dragons, or fairies, or other things out of my brain soup, my imagination soup in my brain of the different things that I've seen. So I remember one of my very first butterflies I ever drew. It was not really a butterfly. It was a watermelon butterfly. It's kind of cool. Wow. Laura, you're pushing me. This is good. This is really good. Mantis. Mantises. Keeping in mind all that you've learned about how to draw insects. Drawing a mantis, I'm going to make them sit right here on the thing. It uses a lot of the similar things. So this is sort of a doodle. We could get really crazy on the armor pieces of a mantis, but mantises have a really neat shaped head. So they sort of have this triangle shaped head. And their eyes are on either end of that triangle shape. So draw a rounded triangle if you want to try and do a praying mantis. If you don't know what a praying mantis is, it's quite all right. It took me a couple of years to actually see one in person.
I've seen 3 in my life.
I've seen 2, I think, in my life, but
I've seen 2 on the path. One on the path to school,
yep.
One at the park, and one on the handle to Bob McQuarrie, where I took my swimming lesson.
Well,
just sitting there chilling in the sun.
Yeah, see, I saw that one too. That's why I said, oh yeah, 3. I used to see them a lot more frequently when I lived in Nova Scotia. So they have their antenna, just like that. I drew their thorax, which is more like a, in this case I drew it like a cylinder on the back. And they have a very long body. I'm not really going to be doing this dude justice. And they have wings on the back, which sort of overlap onto their body. And their underside looks kind of cool like that. You can armor plate this thing. And the neat thing about a praying mantis is actually their arms and legs. I'm trying to think about how to best suggest do this. They look like nutcrackers. If you ever have walnuts at Christmas, you sort of draw these long tube-like things for 2 of their pieces. You can put little bristles on them. So this is a quick one. I love it. I love being asked to draw stuff, and usually my process is to sit and think on it for a while, or draw a sketch, or go and look at photos and whatnot. So this is a good challenge for me. Thank you. And they often have sort of a reverse, kind of like they can really grab you and pinch you.
Wow, that's a lot of color. My hand is hurting.
Or be gentle with the brush.
Yeah.
Actually, those are my spell markers. And I have to think about how their hind legs go here for mantis. I think they have good jumping legs too, don't they? At least that's what they do to me. They jump right into my face.
I've had a grasshopper jump, land on my shoulder.
There we go. I just want to remind myself of them.
I've had.
Oh no, they're little legs. Oh, when I did his little body too long, I didn't do his body right here. Now that I'm looking at a picture, I might have to back up here.
I've seen.
I'm just gonna take his thorax because I realize his thorax is super duper long. It's more like this, and then like this. Sorry, guys.
At the park, I was once running over to my mom, because I just gotten off the structure, and I was running over to my mom, and then a grasshopper jumps out of nowhere, lands on my shoulder, scares the life out of me, and jumps along like I'm like an everyday tree he jumps on, and I was so scared I couldn't move for like 5 minutes.
I'm gonna move this guy. I thought he was gonna sit on the mushroom, but he's not really sitting on the mushroom. So yes,
maybe he's sitting on the log.
Mantis has a lot longer, skinnier torso part, the thorax, than I originally drew. So this guy's just hanging out in the log. that Sophia suggested. I like that. And I'm going to change his leg here. So sometimes when I'm not entirely sure what something looks like, I can go and find a picture, or I go out in nature and I look, and then I can kind of figure that out. And their abdomen, now that I'm putting him on the log, I have to change his, where he is. I would change his abdomen just to go a little bit more like that. And it would disappear over the side of the log because you couldn't see it.
I can't see the comments.
Oh, true. Because I'm looking at a picture of a praying mantis. Spiders are insects. And why aren't they insects? How many legs does a spider have? We'll draw a spider anyway.
Yeah, I'll do a spider in mine too. I'm also doing a cocoon.
So this would be more of a praying mantis.
I'm doing
And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs. A praying mantis. A spider. I love spiders. I love Charlotte from Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
And I would draw Charlotte. Again, I like having insects that have, or creatures in the smaller world, having more of a...
I'm kind of making a multicolored cocoon here.
And spiders are very similar to... Oops. This is a really big orb spider. This is an orb spider. And I'm making my orb spider like so. And I like to make my spider legs a little creepier and curve them around. This may be a daddy long leg spider. I don't know. They have, spiders have 8 legs, so they're not an insect. And they have, this guy is going to lose his leg there, have 4 eyes or 8 eyes? 8 eyes.
8 eyes.
8 eyes. So 8, 8. And he probably wants to snack on one of our little insect buddies here. So what I like to do if I'm making a spider, cartoon spider, I like to sort of give them more of a human-like face, so I don't bother making 8 eyes. So there's a couple of different insects that we've drawn. Butterfly, bee, dragonfly, praying mantis. That was a really big challenge. Thank you so much, Dora. And the spider. Thank you, Janie. And this is their little garden. So what you can do with your garden,
I'm still doing my spider on
is
his bug.
start coloring it. If you've already gotten every piece in there that you'd like, if there's another bug that you'd like me to try and draw that you want to add to your garden, let me know in the comments. And I might have to look them up. But you can start adding things to your garden like grass. Or as Sophia's started to do, make another one of these. Almost like a dirigible plum, if you like Harry Potter. Look like they're sort of floating off like that. And as Sophia started to do, she started adding her own story to her garden. It's a fairy garden. There's fairies in it and elements in there. In fact, I'm going to give you a look at what she's doing. Where are you? There you are. Now look what she's doing while I look for some of my pictures on where I've taken some of those elements of mushrooms and...
So you guys can see that there's a little turquoise spider.
There's a turquoise spider.
And there's my butterfly. Wait, where is he? There.
Have any more facts, do you, Sophia?
No.
You're all out of facts. No.
And there's my ladybug.
I love them.
Still,
You did a
I'm
very
gonna
good
draw a
job.
little fly, trying to get away from the spider.
So here are some pieces that I've done that might. It's not what I'm looking for. Oh, here's something cool. Okay, so here's a few things that I've done. I'm going to put us back to split screen, okay? Here we go. Hi, everybody.
Pokemon.
That I've done, and you guys might be familiar with these characters. They're Pokemon. Caterpie and Metapod and Butterfree. So earlier we had somebody ask about cocoons and pupae. So this is an example of taking nature
and making
making new creatures. So they've made a caterpillar Pokemon, which is actually based off of the tiger swallow. Who is that Pokemon? The swallow tail tiger moth or tiger butterfly caterpillar. Actually looks a little bit like this. And then the Metapod is like the cocoon. And then, which is more evident when you're talking about Beedrill and Kakuna, whose name is actually Cocoon, and Weedrill. Or Weedle, I should say, not Weedrill. Weedle. And then the butterfly version of. So again, you can sort of see there's the head and the body. They made it look more like a person. So that's a way that you can do that. The bergamot dragon is all about plants, not necessarily fungi. But I took a little bit of inspiration from the rind of an orange to make his scales and his skin bumpy like a rind of an orange, because bergamot is a type of citrus fruit, and he looks a bit like it and would live in the trees and seek them out and want to eat all of them. Shed Ninja is really cool. I love Shed Ninjas. They are really awesome. I
have a Pokemon book that I can go get. It's in my bedroom.
You don't have to get the Pokemon book. No. Here's an example of my. Well, we will in a second. If you're done your drawing.
I am.
This is another one that I did based off of mushrooms. So this is called a veil mushroom. So they actually, when they go to create new mushrooms, they create this netting all around themselves, and it slowly shrivels up and lets off its spores or its seeds. But it looks very much like there's a net or a bridal veil or something over top of that mushroom. So I kind of made it a little lady crying, a little mushroom lady crying behind her veil. And this guy is traditional green man, so sort of a Celtic face of a man that's made out of leaves and tree trunks and everything else. So I did this guy out of different fungus or fungi. And so you've got little mushrooms growing out of the
He's a fun guy.
He's a fun guy. I was waiting for that. And he's got bearded moss, bearded Leidenbeard, I think it's called, fungus for his mustache and his beard. And he's got little tiny mushrooms in there. It's got sort of a green mossy creation all around him. So this is what I talk about, my imagination soup. And these guys are often found in our front lawn, which is the ink cap mushroom that I talked about earlier.
Yeah, there's some around the corner.
Start out as sort of a almost white or gray, beige kind of mushroom, and then they get black and look like they're sort of dripping. So I made it into sort of a lady who's talking to a fairy. But that's what I mean when taking those kind of ideas and putting them into your imagination soup in your brain, and you can make them into something later. So I'm going to have to color this. Are you all done?
Yeah. I'll go quickly grab my book.
She wants to go get her Pokemon book because we started to talk Pokemon.
I'm pretty sure I had Shed Ninja in there. so I can talk about shit ninja. Hold on. There we go.
Candy. Is that a suggestion for next week?
I'm totally.
Does somebody already know what the schedule is of our drawing jam and our class and our fun time together? Do they know? Now's the time I'm going to ask the question. What do you guys want to draw next week? Well, I'm going to tell you, actually. We've already decided what we're going to draw next week. Hey! Because somebody asked for transportation a couple weeks ago. And we're going to put a piece for transportation together for next week, or cars or vehicles and robots. So that's going to be next week. But candy, if you like candy, we can definitely do candy. We'll put that on the list of ideas. Does anybody else have any ideas of what they would like to do? Maybe on the theme of vehicles and how we can take vehicles to make different robots. Use our imagination to make robots.
There's Shed Ninja. Here we go.
Oh, Sophia's looking at Pokemon. Yes, they are. Us. Did you know it's like you're reading my mind? Or is it us that suggested transport? Because you guys, yes, it was Misters J and E who suggested transportation. Which I'm not surprised because I have seen
Shed Ninja.
Mr. J's wonderful creations in Minecraft.
Yeah.
A robot Zamboni. Are you going to draw it, Grandpa? You should ask Grandpa. Is he going to draw it?
I have a world that I play in with Mr. J, and I'm showing him these different Minecraft hacks, and then he's disappeared for a little bit, and then I come back and see he's built a military jeep on our front lawn.
So he knows his vehicles.
Yeah. Shed Ninja is Bug Ghost type. Shed Ninja is a strange Pokemon. It doesn't move, it doesn't breathe, and no one really knows where it came from. Its body seems to be nothing more than a hollow shell.
Now, we've gotten into a topic that Sophia absolutely adores. She loves Minecraft and she loves Pokemon. You should see the library of Pokemon books. So if you guys have your garden and you're building your garden and you finish drawing your garden and you have your mom and dad or guardian, parental guardian permission to do so, you can send them to Sami and Arts Messenger, which is on my page. It's the button at the top that you can click to send a message to me now. You can attach it and let me know if you want them to be featured in our photo album that we put together every single week of all of your wonderful creations, and we share them with everybody at the beginning of each and every broadcast that we do. So I'm going to continue coloring. Sophia looks like she's going to, Miss Rainbows here, looks like she's going to add a few more details to her picture.
I'm making a fairy.
And maybe you guys are going to continue to do so for yours. And we would love to see what you come up with and what things your imagination has done to these wonderful little gardens. So see how this is sort of looking a bit like this one, but not really. I'm turning it into something a little bit different. That's always cool and fun to do. So I can't wait to see what you guys have come up with this week. We'll see you next week. We've got suggestions of candy. Hey, we could even try ninjas. Oh, that would be fun. And we'll put those into our idea bin. And we'll be back next week. And I know that our schedule says that next week is the last week for our regular art jams. But, oh no! You lost us at 42 minutes. No! We're having some hiccups here too, so we might be having some technical problems coming in and out. But we will put the whole recording up on YouTube from beginning to end because we do have that recorded as backup. So if you miss anything, it will be there. And it's also going to be there on our page So we are going to extend it past next week for as long as, well, as long as you guys want to continue and join us for some drawing. So thanks for joining us, and I'm gonna let Sophia go and create. Just let her go. She's having fun. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe and keep those ideas coming. Keep being creative. See you soon.
Bye.